of the reasons why it's really real, especially for folks in New York, is because every week we're like sending messages of condolences. So like last week we lost an amazing trans activist named Lorena Borjas, and she is the heart of Queens, and she did amazing work. I got to meet her one time, and she just left this imprint, and she died from complications of COVID-19. And she has an amazing story, and we can share links about her too, but it seems like every week we're sending condolences. I don't think we're prepared for the amount of loss that's coming. At this point, you have to take it seriously. I think also for like in New York, it's bringing a lot of memories of 9/11 because OSHA during 9/11, they failed to comply with the personal protective equipment. So all these workers got sick. And so when we refer to our essential workers as heroes, it makes me nervous because look at how we treated 9/11 workers. Look at how OSHA and FEMA failed during Hurricane Katrina. And now look at what we're doing to these doctors. Like, yes, these doctors and, medical professionals have, they're made for this. Like, they're made to help people. Like that's their calling, but it's not their calling to go there without safety equipment. They were trained professionally to use safety equipment. We're sending them to their deaths. And I take it personally because in my family's in Arizona, and a lot of them are essential workers. They're nurses. My brother is a lieutenant at the prison. And so of course there's no 6 feet distancing. And I also want to say, like, our country in the US, I want to say, because I'm not sure what anybody's status is and I'm not going to ask, but like the traditional heroes are like vets and like firefighters, but we've screwed them over. And this is that's a hard truth. And so what can we do to turn that around? And so I kind of want to turn it over to Inti because we've been having these conversations.
Yeah, I think it was, we were talking about, so I saw a meme a few weeks ago that, because I guess somebody was on the train and they had, graffitied up saying like, not all heroes wear capes. Some of them make minimum wage. And I reposted it. And then I had to think, and a friend said, no, they're not heroes. And I really, really thought about that. And because I was thinking about my mom when I saw that meme, because my mom's an essential worker and she's been going to work every day. And, I think in the beginning of all of this happening, I was concerned for her, and I started calling her union and trying to figure out if they were ever going to stop making her go to work, and they're not. So I was worried, and she lives with my little sister who's 15 and has an underlying medical condition. So I was of course concerned for my mom, but more concerned if my mom were to give it to my sister, because she has an autoimmune disease. And if, she were to become infected, it could be really bad, to the point where, because there are not enough beds and not enough ventilators, something could happen, and I was thinking that far ahead. And then I was thinking, if something were to happen to my mom, I would become responsible for my sister. And, I was sharing these reflections with people, and I think people were alarmed by my, I guess I could say it's a probable truth. And they were like, oh, Inti, come on, don't think like that. Don't think that. But I had to. And I think I still have to, because my mom has to go to work. And, we just received notice. Our principal sent us an email the other day saying that the next 2 weeks are supposed to be really bad. And we're supposed to encounter, I think, more than twice the amount of death we've already experienced. So whatever the aftermath of that is probably even worse. And it just keeps growing from not having quarantined properly 2 or 3 weeks ago. But back to the conversation around heroes, is that, I think that when we call essential workers, who are predominantly low-wage workers, immigrants, undocumented, people of color, heroes, it's sort of like the word hero, like you were saying, Cruz, aligns a lot with this idea that people are putting themselves at risk for us, and they're not. They're putting themselves at risk because they're given no other option, because they're not privileged enough to work from home like I am. They're not putting themselves on the line and saying, I'm going to be the one to, bag up your groceries. No, they literally have no other option. Their jobs are not allowing them to go home and stop working. And because they're announced essential workers, they have to go to work because we need them, right? So we get to privilege off of their inability to stay home and protect themselves and protect their families who they come home to every night. And they could be exposing the virus too if they're infected by somebody going into these grocery stores or these other essential, places that are still open.
So I've been tipping very generously because these folks are putting, I mean, they need a livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very lucky I have a job where I can work from home and I'm still getting paid. But the other day, I think I almost made the UPS delivery person cry because, he kind of pushed my packages toward me, and I was like, thank you so much, please be safe out there. And he kind of got like a lump in his throat, and he was like thank you, because these people are I don't know, I feel a sense of guilt when I pick up packages because I'm like, I know I'm going to be safe when I'm home, but these folks, who knows what's going to happen. Like, what if I got them sick when I was feeling really sick and I was getting packages and I got their family sick? And there's also a feeling of guilt because I can breathe. My breathing is improving every day, but I feel guilty because I have health insurance. I'm able to see a doctor through my computer, so it's like a webcam. Mm-hmm. And I feel awful for what's happening to people, and also I just want to go back to being responsible about posting things on social media, because a lot of people, especially clients that I serve, don't have privilege of education. So their education, or don't have access to education, is social media. So if they trust you, so if Inti was posting ridiculous things, I would, and I didn't have access to education, I would believe what she said, and that could be life and death. So while you're joking about it, I mean, this is a serious pandemic. It's not a hoax. It was very triggering because in Arizona, we have refrigerated trucks, but those are for undocumented people that cross the desert, and those are for remains. Yeah. So that touched home to me because now this is happening in New York and through different hospitals.
I did see images of the nightly news. I forgot who the name of the reporter was, but this was ABC nightly news on Saturday night when I couldn't go to bed till about 4:30 a.m. Yeah. And they're up against, there's literally, I think it was 12 up against a freeway. I don't know what freeway it was, but to see something that much, so you're right, Cruz. Office of the Medical Examiner in Pima County, there is one or two trucks plus the main colossal refrigerator that I myself have been in for news stories, and it's heartbreaking. But to see the 12 colossal trucks, just the images that I see, that I saw on that news, on that part of the half an hour news segment, I think it was, that was heartbreaking. And back to the title of essential workers, I'm pretty sure the double-edged sword that the title essential worker can, in other words, I'm pretty sure people are not thinking that it can also be a double-edged sword, to where on one hand you got to earn money, but on the other hand, just because you're deemed essential and you have no other options to earn money, like working from home, you're exposing yourself. And so but the fact that it sounds like it could be a double-edged sword is, I'm pretty sure, a thing that a lot of people may not have thought about. So thank you for bringing that up, because I mean, I would want everyone to stay home. I mean,
yeah. And Inti and I were talking about how on social media there's people that are shaming and blaming folks that are on the street And it's easy to think like, oh, these people they're so ignorant, what are they doing? But a lot of them are essential workers. Nobody knows it. I mean, there's like the day laborer. So like the big, the La Parada is only 2 blocks away from me, where like thousands of undocumented construction workers stand on the corner looking for work. And so like these people need to work, otherwise they won't eat. Their landlords will kick them out. And even though like there's the governor of New York, which I know everybody's in love with right now, but that man, Andrew Cuomo, he wanted to get rid of Medicaid just like a few months ago. I mean, that's his platform. So you have to be careful. And I feel like some of the hard truths are to know your enemy, to know that we're not all in this together, because the 1% that rules us, they're already bunkered down. They already like bought their stocks and bonds, whatever they do, and dumped them out because they were notified before about the pandemic. And these are coming from like valid news reports. So there's a lot of like people in Congress that are being called out for dumping their shares. So, I mean, we're in this together, and that we really need to make change. We need, I want to say, a revolution. I'm not trying to be idealistic, but the thing is that we're killing people, and we're letting it happen because the 1% dictates what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go ahead and talk about information, ladies, because as and Inti, I think you started to go into this topic a little bit with regards to like the memes and whatnot. You're right. That's a thing that I didn't think about for somebody who might not have had access to traditional education. For a lot of people, and right when you said that, one person came to mind, and in my mind, some people that might be their best form of education is the information that is not always accurate, but is floating out there. Let me go ahead and throw the one out there we were just discussing before we started rolling. The whole, it was in Spanish, this whole thing, it was a graphic, actually, not even words that somebody took the time to actually write, just forwarded a graphic, and the graphic said, el viejo médico chino descubrió la solución para el virus corona, right? The old Chinese scientist discovered. And so the cure was, according to this, you boil garlic in hot water, and then you drink it while it's still really hot, and that should, do something to your intestines and whatnot. So I wrote back my contact, just some basic questions about the source. Okay, who is the old Chinese doctor who discovered this? And I got a I don't know emoji back. And it broke my heart to think that, and she said, this contact that's forwarded this said, I don't know, I just forwarded it. And it broke my heart because I'm thinking, and I think it even also says, like, at the bottom, favor de compartir esta información para que la gente sepa, so please, share this information so that people can know. So the instructions are even there at the bottom to propagate this non-accurate information, and people are just doing it without question, and it breaks my heart. And all you really have to do is ask 1, 2, maybe 3 questions to question the source. And I don't know, it broke my heart to see something like that, and I'd seen, through other people sent other variations of that one my way too. But I was disappointed, but I wasn't mad. It just broke my heart to know that something like that is getting such good circulation, because I think people want to believe in something, in anything that they can then point to and say, well, this is a solution, or this is a solution. And it just breaks my heart. But
yeah, a friend and I actually talked about this maybe 2 weekends ago, and we started compiling mostly like information that we saw on Instagram that came from an actual source, and started more or less figuring out how we could put it on a document to then mass share on WhatsApp, so that we could share it with our family members, like tias, tios, that share this stuff. so that we could say like, hey, share this instead, you know?
Oh, okay.
And that stuff started going out.
So you're
And
countering the bad information with the good information.
yeah, so anything I see like that, particularly if it's in Spanish, because I think there's a lot less access to factual information around COVID, at least in my community, in Spanish. And, you know, I know that's more helpful. And because, you know, I have a friend who lives in Corona, and she was telling me there's a plaza there, and she has to drive to work. So on her drive back home, she saw a lot of people congregating in the plaza, and she was like, I don't understand how they're not alarmed. And her husband tested positive for COVID. So she was concerned, and, you know, she was saying, you know, it's interesting how there's nothing that the government can come up with to you know, alarm people or let people know what they should and shouldn't be doing. And I was thinking, you know, it's crazy, at least, you know, in all of the Latin American countries I've been to, people will be really creative about delivering information, you know, like, or trying to sell you something. You know, they'll get on a bike and with a loudspeaker tell you that they're selling, you know, 3 mangoes for un peso or something like that. Why can't, you know, the police, like, I'm thinking right now, and I'm a little alarmed by the fact that I don't know what the police are doing right now.
Well, a lot of them in New York called in are sick, so
Yes,
that
yes, that I was just going to add to that, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cruz. But I was going to add to that right now afterwards.
no, that's all I was gonna say. They're very sick, and they also can't see the doctor. Something to also think about is, you know, try to surround yourself with people who believe in science. I'm not a scientist. I'm very bad at math. I know how to write. I always joked around like, okay, for the zombie apocalypse, I'm an organizer, so I want like a hunter, I want like a doctor in my team, right?
Yeah.
But here I am, and then I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm like, I guess I can write a letter, and I'm now living in this pandemic. I'm like, I'm not essential. But then I was like, wait a minute. I had to do like an inventory of like, who do I know? I'm related to a whole bunch of nurses. I'm, I know scientists. I know an amazing data scientist, Dr. Kat Sinclair, who's making medical masks, like homemade medical masks, and making videos and then sharing them with people. So that's what I was looking for. And then like Inti does these amazing Instagram memes, you know? So it's just like surrounding yourself with good people and then just getting the facts.